All right, everybody. Welcome to a little quick discussion about variables. Python variables, to be specific. So, variables in general are basically just a placeholder, a thing that will, allows me to hold some values later on, and I can use them later in my program. So a good option here, let's see if I can just reset that. There we go. So your normal variable, I made a new file here, would be, a number, a text, a character, anything along the lines of that. So a good example of that would be, I could print, the number 10. That's not the same as actually having a variable, though. We'll just call this test for now. We'll put it in documents. There we go. All right. So it just prints it on the screen and then it goes away. The problem with just a basic print statement is it simply just doesn't do anything. It'll display it on the screen and I can't save that information. Now if I want to put it somewhere, I can do this, and notice nothing happens, but I can print it later. And now I can pull that value out. Or if I want to, I can change that value. X equals x plus 10, for example. I can add numbers to it, I can subtract from it, x minus 10, like so. Now, the way a variable works in Python is a little different than Java. With Java, you have to define what that variable is. I have to say it is an integer, it is a float or whatever, before I even do anything to it. For Python, they will just, you declare anything, and it could be Bob equals name or something like that. And as soon as it sees what's on this side, it's going to basically make this, in this case, a string or an int. There are several different types of variables. We've got, of course, your int, which is a whole number. And that would be 1, 2, 3, ... Even negative 1, 2, 3. And usually it goes to about 2.7 billion maximum. You have your float, which is, 1 point decimal places, basically. You do have Boolean, which would be like bool. This would be like true, false, like that. We also have, I believe it's a character perhaps, but I guess it'd still be considered a string. But if I were to say, for example, let's say check equals true. Now if I lowercase this, it isn't going to like it. It has to be capital T. And then it'll be fine. So this holds true or false. Float, obviously, I can just say num1 equals 1.23. There we go. Something, something, something. And then I can print that num1 if I want to. And you'll see, there it is. It's a float. Now, one big thing Python does not like is something along the lines of this. If I try to, let's say, print number 1 plus x. Okay, well, let's see. This is a number, that's a number. Let's see what happens. All right, number 1 was 1.3 blah, 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 and x is 0. Let's change that to plus 10. We'll make it a whole number. So that should be 20. So it should be 21 point ... Now, if it's a number, it's perfectly fine doing that. But what if I make it, I don't know, check? Well, it's not a number anymore. They're two different variables, but Looks like it's still considering check in this case. 1, I guess, for some odd reason. Let's see if we can do this. Bob. We'll add that and see what happens. Alright, now it doesn't like that. Now, why does it allow us to do this, I wonder? Oh. Okay. Now, check is either going to be true or false. Now, in most programming constructs, this tends to be 1 or 0. So the reason it actually is fine with that, because most probably it's converting it to a 1. If I make this false, it would probably just say 1.35, because it's going to equate it to a 0. So there, that's why it's okay with that, but not with strings. Took me a second to think about it. But here's just a list of a couple of different ways you can kind of define variables and use them. Of course, we can come up here and make, y equals 23 or something. And then I can say, total equals x plus y. Helps if I do that. Here we go. And then I can come down here and just say, the total is, comma, total. And we'll see if that runs proper like. The total is 43. Well, that's 20, that's 23. 20 plus 23 is 43. And there we go. Nice little mathematical application of our little variables. And of course my variables stay the entire program, unless I change them like this. We could just say x is now 56. And now for the rest of the program, it is going to be 56, which means my total here is going to change a bit too. So it's 10, then it just changes to a completely different number here. You can do that as many times as you want, which is why it's called a variable. So we've covered, oh, and I did also mean to do a string, which are words basically. And a character would technically be just one letter. But still, it would kind of be associated with the same thing as with a string, and it could be a symbol or something like that, or even a number could technically be a character in this case. But that's your rough outline of how variables work.